They laughed when he got slapped in that diner. Coins scattered on the floor, and a 12-year-old boy just stood there, calm, silent. He didn't hit back. He recorded everything. At school, the bully tried again. The insults, the shoves. But this boy wasn't weak. He was waiting. Because his silence wasn't fear, it was strategy. When the bully mocked his family, he smiled and said one name, Vincenzo Torino. And suddenly, the laughter stopped. Days later, that same bully sat trembling while two fathers met, one powerful, one proud, both realizing their sons had lessons to learn. Weeks passed. The boy stood on stage and showed the truth to everyone. Every cruel laugh, every slap, every scar. But in the end, he didn't destroy the bully. He forgave him. Because real power isn't revenge. It's peace.
The smack echoed through the diner like a firecracker. A 12-year-old black boy named Miguel Torino stumbled sideways, his cheeks stinging, his school backpack slipping from his shoulder and spilling coins across the grimy floor. The one who hit him, Derek Thompson, 16, 6 feet tall, built like a football player, stood towering over him, his gold team ring glinting in the light. "Watch where you're going, kid," Derek barked, his voice carrying through the small diner filled with after-school noise and the hum of cheap neon lights. Miguel blinked, steadying himself. His cheek throbbed, but his dark eyes stayed fixed. Not afraid, not angry, just measured. The kind of calm that didn't belong on a child's face. Fat Tony's Diner was the hangout spot after school. Greasy burgers, loud laughter, and adults too tired to care what the kids did. Derek had ruled this place for 2 years, shaking down younger kids for lunch money, making examples out of anyone too small to fight back. Around them, phones were already coming out. Nothing like catching a little cruelty for likes and laughs. "Sorry," Miguel murmured, bending down to collect his coins. They were his snack money, carefully counted by his grandmother that morning to last the week. "Sorry?" Derek snorted and kicked a handful of coins under a booth. "You think sorry pays for the scuff on my sneakers? These cost more than your house." His friends roared with laughter. The woman behind the counter, Dolores, hesitated. Everyone knew Derek's father was an influential businessman. Miguel was just a poor kid from the rougher streets. She looked away and pretended to wipe a counter that didn't need cleaning. But while Derek and his friends laughed, Miguel quietly slid his phone under a nearby table, recording every word, every shove, every sneer. 3 days after the slap that silenced Fat Tony's Diner, Derek Thompson decided to prove that he was still in control of Lincoln High. "Yo, Torino!" he shouted down the hallway, his voice echoing off the lockers. "Your mafia daddy can't protect you here." Students turned their heads. Some laughed nervously, others pretended not to notice. Miguel just kept walking, his steps slow, deliberate, as if Derek's voice didn't exist. By then, his locker had been broken into 3 times. His notebooks were ripped, his backpack went missing every other day. And yet every incident was carefully photographed, logged, and backed up on the same phone that had captured the slap in the diner. He wasn't just surviving, he was building a case. At lunch, he sat alone beneath a tree in the courtyard, his phone resting on his knee, as he spoke quietly into the receiver. "Thompson's testing limits," he said. On the other end of the call, Vincenzo Torino's voice came through, calm, low, the kind of tone that didn't need to raise its volume to command fear. "Let him," Vincenzo said. "Men like him always pull their own noose tighter when you give them rope. Keep watching, keep learning." Miguel nodded slightly, ending the call. The next day, during gym, Derek made his move. He organized an accident, a sharp elbow to Miguel's ribs during basketball practice. The sound of air leaving Miguel's lungs made the nearby players flinch. "Careful, Torino. Accidents happen when you forget your place." The gym teacher, Coach Williams, pretended not to see. He knew exactly who Derek's father was and exactly how far he could look the other way. Miguel said nothing. He simply tied his laces tighter and went back to the game. But that night, in his room, he recorded a voice note for himself.
Coach ignored it. Documented at 3:42 p.m. Derek organized the hit. Evidence attached. It was precise, clinical, like an investigator gathering proof for an invisible jury. By Thursday, Derek's cruelty had turned strategic. He wanted Miguel broken. No cameras, no teachers, just humiliation. So, during recess, he cornered him behind the bathrooms, where no security cameras reached. 4 of Derek's friends circled, laughing. "I'm sick of your fake stories. If your dad's so dangerous, why hasn't anyone heard about him?" Miguel looked up, calm as ever. "Maybe you just don't know where to listen." That made Derek's jaw tighten. "Liar. I bet your father doesn't even exist, just like your pride." Miguel's voice dropped to a quiet, unnerving register. "Careful what you say next." "Oh yeah? What are you gonna do? Call your imaginary daddy?" Miguel tilted his head slightly. "That's actually a good idea." He pulled out his phone, unlocked it, and pressed one contact.
By Monday morning, Lincoln High felt colder. Rumors had spread like wildfire about the call, about the name, about the silence that followed. Derek Thompson wasn't laughing anymore. He came to school quieter, his usual pack of friends keeping distance. Even the teachers noticed something off. A predator turned prey, a storm suddenly gone still. But Miguel? He acted as if nothing had happened. His uniform neat, his books stacked perfectly, his focus unbroken. Only the faintest trace of knowing lingered in his eyes, like someone who had already seen the ending to a movie no one else realized they were in. That afternoon, 2 black SUVs rolled up to the school gate. Out stepped Vincenzo Torino, sharp suit, silver cufflinks, presence heavy enough to make the air shift. Every whisper died instantly. Behind him, another car arrived, Richard Thompson, Derek's father, a man used to walking into rooms like he owned them. Until today. The principal, Mr. Langford, nearly tripped over his own words trying to greet them both. Gentlemen, please, my office is this way." Inside, the atmosphere was suffocating. Vincenzo sat with elegance, crossing one leg over the other, hands folded on the table. Richard sat opposite him, jaw tight, trying not to show fear. Derek and Miguel waited outside, separated by a wall, 2 worlds apart. Vincenzo spoke first. His tone was courteous, smooth, but razor-sharp beneath every word. "Mr. Thompson, it seems your son has been in-kind to mine. I prefer to handle these things privately, man to man." Richard forced a polite smile. "Kids fight. It happens. No harm done." Vincenzo's eyes glinted. "Oh, I agree. Children fight. But men choose whether those fights end in forgiveness or in funerals." The room went dead quiet. Richard swallowed. "Are you threatening my family?" "Not at all," Vincenzo said softly, leaning forward. "I'm offering you a choice. Discipline your boy properly, or I will teach him lessons he won't forget." The principal started to intervene.
A week after the tense meeting between their fathers, Lincoln High announced a student awareness assembly. The principal's voice over the intercom sounded cheerful, too cheerful. "We're proud to showcase the work of one of our brightest students, Miguel Torino, who's prepared a short presentation on empathy and digital behavior." Most students didn't care. It was just another excuse to skip class. But Derek felt his stomach twist the moment he heard Miguel's name. The gymnasium filled with chatter, sneakers squeaking on the polished floor, phones raised high for videos. Miguel stood at the center stage, small in size, but his calm presence commanded silence. "Good morning. Today I want to talk about kindness and how we treat people when no one's watching." He tapped his laptop and the projector flickered to life. On the screen appeared a video clip. The sound hit first,
A slap, sharp and echoing. Then came the image. A boy knocked sideways in a diner, coins rolling across the floor, laughter in the background. The crowd gasped. Someone whispered, "That's Derek." Every clip played in sequence. The insults, the shoves, the mocking laughter. Every moment Derek had thought was forgotten. Miguel had documented it all, calmly, silently, meticulously. When the lights came back on, Derek was pale. The gym felt like a courtroom, and every eye was a witness. Miguel didn't gloat. He didn't even look at Derek. He simply said, "Some people believe strength is measured by how loud you can be.
It had been 3 weeks since the assembly that changed everything. The air at Lincoln High felt different now, quieter, softer. Teachers paid more attention. Students whispered less cruelly. And Derek Thompson returned to school carrying something he'd never had before: shame. He walked through the halls that once echoed with his laughter and swagger, but now every step felt heavier. The posters on the wall, respect, responsibility, kindness, stared back at him like reminders of all the things he'd forgotten. When he saw Miguel at his locker, the words he'd practiced for days caught in his throat. But this time, he didn't turn away. He approached slowly, his voice quiet. "Miguel, can I talk to you?" Miguel shut his locker door and turned. His expression was calm, not angry, not smug, just quietly waiting. "I wanted to say I'm sorry. Not just for what I did at the diner, but for everything after. You didn't deserve any of it." Miguel studied him for a long moment before answering. "I know," he said simply. "I don't expect you to forgive me," Derek added, "but I need to tell you that I understand now. What I did, it wasn't strength. It was fear, and I hate that it took this much to see it." Miguel's eyes softened. "It's not too late to change who you are. Just don't apologize with words. Apologize by becoming someone better." Derek nodded slowly, his voice breaking. "I will." And for the first time, Miguel smiled. Small, genuine, and human. "I believe you,"